My name is Catherine Harris, 32 years old, and I still remember the night he told me I was too soft for a man like him. Funny thing is, he said it like it was a compliment, like I should thank him for the diagnosis before he walked out the door and straight into someone louder, flashier, crueler. Back then, I thought love was about patience, about being there even when it hurt. It started small. The jokes. We'd be at dinner with friends, and if I hesitated before disagreeing with someone, Logan would grin and say, "See, Catherine doesn't fight. She forgives everyone." They'd laugh. I'd smile too, because that's what I did. I made people comfortable. He used to say I was too gentle for this world. I believed him until I realized it wasn't admiration. It was dismissal. The night everything broke began like any other Tuesday. I had just finished work, bought his favorite stir-fry, and drove home humming along to the radio. When I opened the door, the air felt staged. He was leaning against the kitchen counter, arms crossed, eyes cold. "Catherine, we need to talk." I froze, still holding the grocery bag. "Okay." He didn't even look nervous. "I've been seeing someone. Her name's Jade, from the gym." The room tilted. I thought maybe I'd misheard him. "You what?" "She gets me," he continued. "She's confident. She knows how to take control." Then came the dagger. "You apologize for existing." I remember the sound of my own heartbeat more than his words. I set the bag down slowly. Inside, a jar of his favorite chili sauce rattled against the glass counter. "That's it," I said softly. "You're just done." He smirked. "Guess you knew this was coming. You've always been too soft for a man like me." I didn't cry, didn't scream. I just stood there realizing the version of me he'd loved was the one who never fought back. So I did something new. I walked to the bedroom, pulled out my suitcase, and started packing. He followed me incredulous. "You're seriously not even going to fight for me?" I zipped the suitcase shut. "You just told me I'm not enough, Logan. Why would I fight for that?" His expression twisted between confusion and anger. "You'll regret this." Maybe I said lifting the handle, but not tonight. And I left. No shouting, no slammed doors, just silence. The silence, it turned out, was the hardest part. For weeks I woke to the sound of absence. No coffee grinder, no morning playlist humming through the apartment, no sarcastic texts lighting up my phone. At first I told myself he'd reach out, that he'd realize what he'd thrown away. But the days kept passing. Mutual friends became accidental messengers. Ryan, his best friend, texted me once, "Logan's really happy, by the way. Jade's good for him." I stared at the message until it blurred. Good for him. That was supposed to comfort me. One night, curiosity won. I checked his public profile. There he was, Logan all smiles, arm draped over Jade at some neon-lit bar. Her red lipstick matched his tie. The caption read, "Finally found my equal." I felt something inside me tighten, not jealousy, not heartbreak. Something quieter, a kind of humiliation that burns slower than anger. The next day I blocked him everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, even Venmo. But not his number. Part of me, some desperate, foolish part, wanted to see if he'd try. He didn't. I started running. Not away, not toward just running. 5 kilometers became 10. 10 became 15, until my lungs burned and the only voice left in my head was my own. That's how I found the boxing gym. A trainer caught me staring through the glass one evening. "You look like you've got something to hit," he said. He was right. I hit the bag until my knuckles bled through the tape, until every punch sounded like a sentence I'd never said to Logan, until the ache became quiet. Nights were harder. That's when memories crept in how he used to text, "You're too good for me." I used to take that as love. Now I saw it for what it was, a warning. I tried to rebuild myself in small ways. Cook for one. Sleep diagonally. Laugh at things that weren't him. But grief is sneaky. It doesn't always show up crying. Sometimes it hides in the empty half of a bed or the pause before replying. "No worries." When you mean that broke me. 2 months later, Ryan messaged again. "Hey, Catherine, you should come to Logan's birthday. It's weird you guys aren't talking." I stared at the screen, then typed, "I'm good." He replied instantly, "He's happy. You should be too." I put my phone face down. Some people never understand that peace doesn't always look like forgiveness. Sometimes it looks like silence. That night, I went back to the gym. As I wrapped my hands, I caught my reflection in the mirror. Hair tied back, eyes, steady lips, set in a thin line. For the first time, I didn't see softness as weakness. I saw it as control. I hit the bag once, hard. The sound echoed like thunder in the empty gym. And beneath that echo, a whisper. He said I was too soft for a man like him. I smiled to myself. Maybe softness was the only thing keeping me from breaking. It's strange how quiet the world becomes when the person who filled every corner of it disappears. Even the fridge hum felt louder those first few weeks. I didn't realize how much of my life had been edited to match his volume until he was gone. Without Logan's chaos, my apartment sounded like a pause that wouldn't end. Days bled together. I'd get up, shower, go to work, come home, scroll through a phone that never lit up. And when it did, it was never him. My best friend Diana tried to help. "He's not worth it, Catherine," she'd say over coffee, her tone too bright. I'd nod, pretending to agree, though part of me still listened for his name in every conversation. It came sooner than I expected. Diana mentioned she'd seen him. "Logan looks different." Jade's been posting nonstop. Luxury dinners, beach trips, the kind of smiles people rehearse. I laughed softly. Good for them. But that night, when the walls felt too tight, I opened Instagram anyway. They were there, Logan and Jade, dripping in expensive happiness. The captions read like sermons: "When two alphas meet, sparks fly." Dozens of comments, fire emojis, hearts. In one photo, Jade sat on his lap, hand on his chest, chin tilted like a queen, surveying her kingdom. Logan looked smaller somehow, though the grin was the same. That grin that used to make me forget my own opinions mid-sentence. I stared for too long. The phone's glow painted my reflection onto the screen, my tired eyes hovering over her red lips. I closed the app, then reopened it, then closed it again. Healing. I was learning doesn't happen in a straight line. So I ran. Every night after work, I tied my shoes and ran until my legs trembled, until exhaustion was stronger than the urge to check his page again. The air cut my lungs like glass, but it made me feel alive in a way he never did. At the gym, the trainer, a gruff man named Louis, started nodding when I walked in. "You hit harder this week," he said once. "Just tired," I lied. But maybe I was tired of being tired. Boxing became my therapy. Each punch was a sentence unsent. Each breath a confession I'd never say aloud. Sometimes I imagined Logan standing in front of me, his smirk replaced with that cold, detached stare. "You're too soft for a man like me." Swing. The bag absorbed it all, every insult, every dismissal, every quiet apology I'd whispered into pillows. Still silence has a way of whispering back. Nights stretched long. I'd catch myself scrolling through old messages, him teasing me about overcooking pasta, or that one time he texted, "You're my calm in the storm." I wanted to throw my phone across the room. I didn't. Instead, I typed a note I'd never sent. "I was never your calm. I was your lifeboat. You just didn't notice until you sank." I deleted it. A month passed before the first whisper of him reached me again. Ryan texted late one night, "You should come to Jade's birthday. Everyone's going. Logan might want to see you." My heart stuttered stupidly, but I typed back, "No thanks. Not my kind of party." He replied, "You're making it weird. He's happy now." Happy. The word stung more than I wanted it to. I turned off my phone, crawled into bed, and told myself the truth. I didn't want him back. I just wanted to understand why being kind had never been enough. The next day, I saw a new photo. Jade feeding Logan cake, his eyes glazed in the flash. The caption, "When you finally get what you deserve." I muted their profiles. Not out of anger, but because I finally understood their story had nothing to do with me anymore. Still, the loneliness came in waves. It showed up at the grocery store when I caught sight of his favorite snacks, or in the gym when a song we used to dance to started playing over the speakers. Once I saw a couple arguing in the parking lot, her voice breaking his face blank, and I recognized it. That hollow look of someone begging for love from a wall. I went home, showered, and stood in front of the mirror. My reflection looked unfamiliar, sharper around the edges. Softer too, but not fragile anymore. I whispered to the woman staring back, "You're not the problem. You were just in the wrong story." Weeks later, Diana dropped another casual bomb. "Did you hear about Logan's promotion?" I froze mid-sip. "No." She smiled, oblivious. Apparently Jade posted about it, said she's proud to be his motivation. The ache came back low and dull. I nodded, forcing a smile. Good for him. My voice didn't even shake this time. But that night I ran longer than usual, 10 kilometers, maybe 12, until my lungs burned and my chest tightened. And for the first time since the breakup, when I reached home, I didn't cry. I just stood by the window, drenched in sweat, watching the city lights flicker like distant stars. Somewhere out there, Logan was laughing, posing, living his new life. And yet, the silence around me didn't hurt anymore. It felt like peace. like the kind of quiet you earn after surviving a storm. I closed my eyes and whispered to the dark ghosts only haunt places where they are remembered. Then I smiled, because for the first time in months I couldn't remember his voice. Peace has a strange way of ending. Not with chaos, just with a whisper. In my case, it arrived through a casual text from Diana. Did you see what happened with Logan and Jade last night? I hadn't. I'd muted both of them months ago. She stormed out of some party in tears, Diana added. People said he yelled at her, in front of everyone. I didn't reply. My thumb hovered over the screen. Curiosity pressing at the edges like an old bruise. When I finally opened in Jade's public page, half her photos with him were gone. The captions that used to scream #PowerCouple were replaced with vague quotes about respect and knowing your worth. And then one post that stopped me cold. A mirror selfie. Jade in sunglasses smiling too wide. The caption read, "Some people mistake control for love." I should have felt vindicated. I didn't. All I saw was the same cycle playing out different roles, same pain. Logan didn't love women. He collected them. And when they stopped making him feel powerful, he crushed them under the weight of his own insecurity. I turned off my phone, set it face down, but the silence that followed wasn't peace anymore. It was pity. A few days later, Diana invited me to brunch. Halfway through, she leaned forward, her tone conspiratorial. "You won't believe this," she said. Logan showed up at the gym, screaming at one of the trainers. Security had to pull him off. I kept my face neutral. Why? She shrugged. Apparently, Jade canceled their vacation last minute. He blamed the trainer for flirting with her. I stirred my coffee slowly. That sounds exhausting. She laughed awkwardly. "You dodged a bullet, huh?" I smiled, but my chest ached, because dodged implied I'd seen it coming. Truth was, I'd been blind until the fire was already spreading. That night, I opened my laptop for the first time in weeks, not to check on him, just to write. I started typing something I never planned to share. You can love someone so much that you start shrinking to fit the space they give you. But one day you'll realize they only ever loved you small. When I finished, I sat back and stared at the words. Then, without meaning to, I opened my browser and typed his name. His LinkedIn profile came up first, new photo, the same confident smile. But beneath it, on sabbatical, exploring personal growth opportunities. That was corporate speak for unemployed. A bitter laugh slipped out. Weeks passed and more cracks appeared. Jade's post turned defensive. She wrote about fake friends, betrayal, healing journeys. Then one photo of her at a bar, Logan's hand gripping her wrist as she smiled for the camera. Too tight, too forced. I zoomed in. A faint mark, almost invisible, peeked from under her bracelet. I froze. That bruise. I'd seen it before on myself after a night he'd grabbed my arm during an argument. He'd said, "You made me do that." And I'd believed him. For a long moment, I couldn't breathe. The next morning, I walked to the gym early. The punching bag hung in the corner, waiting patient and silent. Each hit came harder than the last. Not for revenge, not even for anger, but for every time I'd excused his cruelty as passion. Luis, my trainer, watched quietly before saying, "You've got power now, Catherine." I nodded, sweat dripping down my jaw. "Feels like it." He smiled. "Power's good. Just don't waste it on ghosts." That night, I lit a candle by my window. The city hummed outside, unbothered, alive, distant. I scrolled through Jade's page one last time. Then, without hesitation, I blocked her too. Because I didn't need proof that he hadn't changed. I'd already lived it. I whispered into the glow. Let someone else believe his storm is warmth. A week later, Diana texted again. "You won't believe it. Logan and Jade split. Publicly, she deleted everything. He's a mess. Drunk texts, late-night rants. People are starting to avoid him." I read the messages slowly without feeling, then typed back, "I hope they both heal." It was the truest thing I'd said all year. That night I dreamt of him for the first time in months. We were standing in the old apartment. He looked exactly the same, smug, tired, cold. But when he opened his mouth, no sound came out. Just silence. The same silence he'd left me in, only now it belonged to me. When I woke up, the sun was rising bleeding gold across the room. I poured myself coffee, opened the window, and smiled faintly. Logan's world was falling apart, and for the first time I didn't care. He had called me too soft, but softness hadn't broken me, it had saved me. I had almost forgotten what his voice sounded like until the night it came crawling back through the phone. It was 3:07 a.m. when it rang, an unknown number. At first I thought it was a wrong call. I let it ring out. Then came the voicemail. Breathing, slow, uneven, and a whisper. Please, Catherine. A muffled crash, then silence. I replayed it once, twice, until the sound of my own heartbeat drowned it out. The voice was unmistakable. Logan. By morning, the gossip had already spread. Diana texted first. You won't believe this, Logan got arrested last night. Bar fight. Some guy looked at Jade too long. I stared at my phone, coffee going cold in my hand. He's fine, she added. Jade bailed him out, but she deleted all their pictures. Again. I typed back, he'll be okay, then muted the conversation. There was a time I would have rushed to fix him. Now I just rinsed my mug and went to work. The email started 2 weeks later. Subject line, please just read this. I didn't open it, but the preview line glowed anyway. I know I don't deserve you, but I miss your calm. Everything's falling apart. The next day, I'm trying, Catherine. I swear, I can change. Please talk to me. I archived them all. Then came the voice messages. First one sober, rehearsed. I just want to explain. Second angry. You're so cold now. What happened to the girl who cared? Third broken. You were right about everything. And then silence again. That was always his pattern. Rage, regret, retreat. One night, I came home to find an envelope slipped under my door. No name, but I knew the handwriting. Inside was a single sheet of paper and a key taped to it. This was yours. I kept it. I don't know why. At the bottom, faint smudges where teardrops had dried. I stared at that key for a long time. It used to open the apartment we shared. The place where I learned how small a person can make you feel when they confuse control for love. I dropped it into the trash. The next morning, I saw him. It was raining, and the city was barely awake. I was heading into the gym when a car pulled up by the curb. The door opened, and out stepped Logan. He looked nothing like the man I remembered. His once pressed shirts were now wrinkled collar askew. Eyes bloodshot, jaw unshaven. He spotted me instantly. Catherine, he said, voice rough. Can we talk? I froze halfway to the door. The rain between us felt like a wall. There's nothing left to say, I replied. He took a shaky step forward. I lost everything. My job, my apartment, Jade's gone. I needed to see you. I didn't move, didn't blink. He waited for a reaction that wouldn't come. Please, he said finally, desperate. I can't sleep. I keep hearing your voice. My throat tightened. Not out of sympathy, out of memory. That voice had once been my whole world. Now it just sounded small. I shook my head. I don't hate you, Logan, I said quietly, but I don't owe you peace anymore. Then I walked inside the gym door, closing softly behind me. Later, as I wrapped my hands, Luis raised an eyebrow. You okay? Yeah, my tone surprised even me. Steady, final. He handed me the gloves. Good. Don't let ghosts tire you out. The bag waited patient. I hit it once, twice a rhythm, steady as a heartbeat. Every punch drove something out of me. Pity, fear, the last traces of his name. By the 10th round, my arms shook. By the 12th, I couldn't remember why I'd ever wanted him to call. The emails kept coming for a while. Apologies turned into accusations, then into confessions again. You were my calm, Catherine, my anchor. I just need one chance. You ruined me by being too good. And finally, forget it, you were never strong enough anyway. That one made me smile. Because it proved what I already knew, he still hadn't learned the difference between softness and weakness. I deleted everything, changed my number, moved apartments. The next time my phone buzzed past midnight, I didn't flinch. Months later, I found another envelope in my mailbox. No note this time, just a single photograph. Me from years ago, smiling on a beach. He'd taken it. Taken. I flipped it over. On the back, scrawled in his handwriting, I miss this version of us. I almost laughed. Because that version of us had never really existed. It was built on my silence, my forgiveness, my endless attempts to be enough for someone who didn't know what enough meant. I tore the photo in half, then again, until it was nothing but tiny pieces falling into the trash like confetti. Later that night, I stood on my balcony, city lights blinking below. The rain had stopped, but the street still shimmered. I thought about that voicemail, his voice trembling through static. Please, Catherine. I whispered back to the empty air I already did. Inside, the clock struck 3:00 a.m. again. Same hour, different silence. This one didn't ache, it hummed. I turned off the lights and went to bed, unafraid of the dark. 6 months passed before I saw him again. Not on a screen, not in a memory, but in flesh and breath under the same yellow light of a cafe I hadn't planned to enter. It was one of those late Sunday afternoons that smell like burnt espresso and rain on concrete. I was meeting Diana for coffee, but she'd canceled last minute. I almost left until I noticed the man sitting in the corner by the window, hunched over a chipped mug. Logan. He didn't see me at first. His hair was longer now, streaked with gray at the temples. The crisp confidence he once wore like armor had eroded. His shirt hung loose on his frame, the collar limp. For a moment, the years folded in on themselves. My pulse stumbled, my throat tightened, and then nothing. No fury, no ache, just recognition without attachment. I walked to the counter, ordered a latte, and sat down 2 tables away. He looked up. Our eyes met, and in that second the air thickened with everything we'd never said. He rose slowly, almost unsure of his own body. Then he walked toward me, each step cautious, like approaching a ghost that might vanish if he moved too fast. "Catherine," he said. My name came out as a sigh, not a greeting. "Logan." I gestured to the empty chair across from me. "Sit if you want." He did. His hands trembled slightly as he wrapped them around his coffee cup. "You look different." "I am," I said simply. He chuckled dryly. "Guess I deserve that." Silence stretched between us, filled with the clatter of cups and low music from the speakers. "I didn't think you'd talk to me," he said finally. "I didn't plan to." He nodded, eyes darting to the window. "I've been trying to get my life back together." "Good," I said. He frowned like my calm unsettled him. "You don't even want to ask how I've been." "No." He blinked. "Why not?" "Because it doesn't matter." He exhaled sharply, then laughed without humor. "You always were like this, pretending things didn't hurt." "They did," I said quietly. "You just weren't listening when they did." He flinched, and for a second I saw the old Logan, the one who turned every wound into proof of his own suffering. "I lost everything," he said, voice cracking. "My job, my friends Jade. You were the only person who ever really cared about me." I looked at him, then really looked. The bags under his eyes, the bitten nails, the desperation that clung to his voice. "Maybe that's the problem," I said softly. "You mistake care for ownership." His jaw tensed. "You think you're better than me now?" "No," I replied, my voice steady. "Just free." He stared at me for a long time, searching for a reaction he could control. When he didn't find it, his composure cracked. "Do you hate me?" he asked finally. "I don't think about you enough to hate you." The words landed like glass shattering between us. His lips parted, but no sound came out. Then a flicker of something pain-pride crossed his face. "You're lying," he said hoarsely. "You have to be. You can't just erase someone like that." I tilted my head. "Then why does it scare you that I did?" A soft buzz interrupted us. My phone lit up on the table. "Noah dinner tonight. I'll bring wine." I didn't hide the screen. I didn't need to. Logan's eyes followed the glow, and the color drained from his face. "You're seeing someone." I nodded. "Yes." He swallowed hard. "Is he kind?" "Yes." His voice cracked. "So that's what you wanted all along, huh? Some nice boring guy who doesn't need to break me to feel strong," I cut in. The cafe fell quiet again. Even the barista looked up from behind the counter, sensing something sharp in the air. Logan leaned back defeated. "I was stupid." "Yes. I thought being in control made me powerful." "It just made you small," I said. "You could have been so much more if you'd known how to love without conquering." He stared at his hands. They were shaking. "I don't know how to stop thinking about you," he whispered. "That's your work to do," I replied, gathering my bag, "not mine." As I stood, his voice cracked again. "Catherine, please, just tell me I'm not a monster." I paused. "You're not a monster, Logan. You're a man who mistook love for control, and now you're paying for it." He nodded, tears threatening, but not falling. "You really don't feel anything." I hesitated, then told the truth. "Peace. That's what I feel." When I turned toward the door, he grabbed my wrist, reflexive, desperate. The same wrist he'd once bruised during an argument. I looked down at his hand, then up at him. Slowly, deliberately, I pulled free. His fingers dropped, trembling. "What if I change?" "Then you'll be better for the next person," I said. "But not for me." And then, because I owed it to myself to end it properly, I added, "You told me I was too soft. But softness doesn't mean weakness. It means I can walk away without needing to see you suffer." I left him there in that cafe, full of half-drunk cups and unfinished apologies. Outside, the rain had stopped. The sun slipped between the clouds, warm against my face. My phone buzzed again. "Noah leaving now. Can't wait to see you." I smiled. Behind me, through the cafe window, I saw Logan still sitting there, staring into his coffee like it might explain something. But it wouldn't. Some lessons only come when there's no one left to teach them. I slipped my phone into my pocket, exhaled, and whispered to myself, "Peace doesn't need witnesses." Then I crossed the street toward the light, toward dinner, toward a life that finally felt like mine again. It's been almost a year since that afternoon at the cafe. Since the last time I looked into Logan's eyes and saw not a lover, not even an enemy, just a man out of stories to tell. Funny how time works. You think healing will be a loud, cinematic thing. But mostly it's quiet. Morning sunlight on the floor. Coffee that doesn't go cold. a message from someone new that makes you smile without bracing for disappointment. That's what peace sounds like. It doesn't roar, it hums. Now my mornings start differently. No checking my phone for apologies that will never come. No overthinking what I could have done to make someone stay. Instead, I wake to the smell of fresh air and Noah's soft humming in the kitchen. He doesn't demand space. He shares it. When he looks at me, I don't feel small. I feel seen. Sometimes I catch myself waiting for the other shoe to drop because people like Logan train you to expect punishment after peace. But Noah just smiles, hands me a mug, and says, "You're allowed to be happy, you know." I believe him now. Last week, Diana sent me a screenshot without comment. A photo from Logan's public profile. Him with a new woman. Her smile too wide, her pose too stiff. The caption read, "Real women don't play games." For a second, I stared at it, waiting for the old ache to return. But it didn't. I just laughed a soft, almost pitying sound. Diana texted, "You okay?" I replied, "Better than ever," and meant it. Then I deleted the photo, muted his name, and went on with my day. That night, I walked home from work through streets lit by a warm, amber glow. Every corner hummed with life vendors, closing shop children, chasing each other, an old couple sharing a quiet laugh. I realized something then. Healing doesn't erase the past. It just teaches you how to walk beside it without flinching. I don't hate Logan. He's part of my story, sure, but not the ending. Not anymore. Saturday mornings, I still go to the boxing gym. Luis nods when he sees me tossing me gloves. "You're early," he says. "Needed to clear my head," I reply, grinning. He watches as I start jab cross hook. Each punch steady, rhythmic, alive. "You hit harder than last week," he says when I stop to breathe. Because I stopped pulling punches, I answer, smiling. He chuckles. That's my girl. Later in the locker room, I catch my reflection in the mirror. Same face, different woman. Softer, yes, but unbreakable in a way she never used to be. I think back to that night a year ago, standing in my apartment with a suitcase while Logan called after me. "You'll regret this." He was wrong. I don't regret leaving. I regret all the times I stayed after knowing I should have gone. Sometimes late at night, I still hear echoes. Not of his voice, but of mine. The quiet version that apologized too much, that confused endurance with love. I whisper back to her now, "You made it out." And in that whisper, I feel the kind of strength he never understood, the kind that bends but doesn't break. A few nights ago, I walked past that same cafe where I'd last seen him. The lights were dimmer, the tables rearranged. He wasn't there, of course. Just a couple laughing softly in the corner, the sound of spoons tapping porcelain. For a moment, I stood by the window watching them. Then I smiled, tucked my scarf tighter, and kept walking. Some ghosts are better left unseen. When I got home, Noah was on the couch reading barefoot, half asleep. He looked up and said, "You're glowing." Maybe I was. Because when you finally stop trying to be someone's anchor, you learn how to float. I kissed him goodnight, turned off the lights, and lay in bed listening to the rain outside. It didn't sound like sadness anymore. It sounded like a song I used to know now, playing in a different key. He said I was too soft for a man like him. Maybe softness was what saved me, because it takes more courage to heal than to hate.